Most people in life try to escape making choices. They try to avoid looking bad. They try to avoid saying the right thing. They try to avoid saying the wrong thing. They try their best to not stand too far away from the crowd. And they think they're able to manage that. But you can't run away from choices in life. Whether you choose to stand for something, whether you choose to speak out, or whether you don't, both actions will depict a mindset. Both actions will depict your mentality, your stand. Whether you stand for something that will show that what your beliefs are, what your inclinations in life are towards, what your values are, what your ethics are. But at the same time, if you choose to say nothing, that also shows that you are somebody who will not take a stand. So in life, we sometimes think that if we play a spectator role, play an audience instead of a member, a participator, we'll be able to get away with a lot of things and we'll be able to get away with not being seen. And we love the fact of not being seen. We think we can hide. But choices always catch us. We always have to decide. It might be on a smaller scale, but we are pushed towards making choices and revealing ourselves. It could be to two people. That's it. Maybe your closest family, maybe your friend circle. But who you are will always reveal itself. If we spend the maximum amount of our time hiding, not standing for anything, not speaking up, or thinking that if we just hide in the crowd, well, then it should not come as a surprise if we become a part of the crowd. If we, whatever we will behave like, we will become. If we behave like the crowd, we will become the crowd. If we behave like a leader, leadership will come to us. So life responds to us through our actions, through our behavior, through the vibration that we send out, which means if we behave like an individual who is not doing well mentally, or we behave like somebody who puts people down, who insults people, but not publicly. We do it, let's say, sometimes, since we are putting this on the internet, let's talk about the comments, right? We put comments, we put uh, strange things on the internet for people to read. And we do it because we assume that, nobody will find us, nobody will be able to connect dots back to us. But the problem is, if you do that, then you are signaling to the universe that I'm okay being an audience member. I don't need the spotlight. I don't need leadership. And maybe that's you. That's okay if you don't want that. But leadership does not have to mean internet. It can mean your work, it can mean your family, it can mean you being a critical part of any kind of setup which requires leadership. A man's job in the house or a woman's job in a house, a mother, a father, everything requires leadership. So if we set out signals into the universe that say, I don't want to take accountability for who I am, I don't want to take ownership of my choices, that sends out a signal to the universe that you're not ready for big things. If we stop playing mediocre, then big things can come to us. If we keep on playing at a average level and we act from that average personality, average results will follow. We should not be surprised then that we are keep on attracting the same things. We keep on wanting big things, right? We keep on wanting to excel. We keep on wanting to succeed, to find things that really fill up our soul and make us feel happy. But we keep on acting out from a smaller place within ourselves, and then smaller results come back. So if we, let's say, I talk about myself, okay? Let's say I want to one day lead an organization, okay? And but every time a decision comes, I pass it on to somebody else. I let the team decide. I take the opinion of 20 people and I see and check who are the which of my choices are getting most popular, right? And that's how I take decisions. After some time, The universe will decide, okay, if you're not ready to take a leadership role, that's okay. You don't have to have it. But let's say you or I want to have that leadership role. Okay, now the universe will give us choices and it will see which of our personalities, because we have choices, right? We have a self that lives in a lower frequency, we have a self that lives in a higher frequency, which means which we call a higher self, right? Which means that we can act from a lower version of ourselves, we can act from a higher version of ourselves. So if every reaction that we are giving or every feedback that we are giving to the universe is coming from a lower version, our results will come back in a lower version. And if we send out vibrations to the universe that are coming from a higher version, the results of a higher version will come back. So every time we take a decision, we make a choice, we have to start thinking in terms of who am I representing right now? We have to start thinking, who am I being right now? Is the person that I want to become behaving in the way that I'm behaving right now? Which means, or will a person that has everything that I want behave in the way that I'm behaving right now? And if you think no, even for a second, change it. Okay? Think, what would my best self do right now? Let's say you're stuck in a situation. Let's say you're going somewhere and maybe you're driving in a car and somebody cuts you off. Okay, we'll not go into deeper stranger scenarios. Let's say somebody just overtakes you, cuts you off. And while they do that, they also insult you. Because cutting you off is like, seems a little docile. So let's say they also insult you, okay? And now you get out of your car and you start screaming at that person. You ask him to come out and have a physical altercation, like have a verbal match or anything. But you physically come out of the car and you start fighting. Would your highest self behave like that? Or would your highest self say, it's okay, maybe he's having a bad day, okay, and you move on? Would that your highest self do? So every time we take a decision, and one might feel that these are very, like we are going on a very small level now, no? They do matter. All small decisions, like let's say, right now that I'm talking, I can see my teeth. So let's say every time you brush your teeth, how many times you brush your teeth, how you take care of your teeth, all that will decide who you are. Every time you, let's say, brush your hair, comb your hair, take care of your hair, take care of your anything at all, read a book. Okay, read content, understand content that uplifts you as a person or builds you up. Or every time you watch something that brings you down. Every step, every decision will form the person, or at least get back the results of the person you are being in that moment. So if we watch, let's say, we put on a streaming service and we start watching gossip, or let's say we start watching two people fighting, or we start watching scandals, or anything that we know is of a lower frequency, a lower vibration. What we are sending out into the world is that I am somebody who belongs to a lower vibration. So, what should I do? Every time a thought comes where you are tempted towards doing something that belongs to a lower vibration, we can check ourselves. There is no judgment when the thought comes, okay? Because all of us are trying to improve ourselves on an everyday basis. So if we fall off for, let's say, a minute or two, or even hour, 2 hours, it's okay as long as we come back. So falling off the horse is, is not a problem. Not getting back is a problem. So every time we feel compelled towards a distraction, and these are usually distractions, right? These are usually ways in which we calm our mind and we relax our mind. So every time we do that, and every time a way comes in which we feel like it's not aligned with who I want to be, just take a step back and change it. There are a lot of things that we can do every day, a lot of it requires reading of books. These days, we can listen to audiobooks as well. So, a lot of ways we can bring ourselves to a higher frequency. And that's all we need to do. We don't need to break big mountains. We don't need to change who we are, or assume somebody else's personality. We just need to start acting from a high version of ourselves. So if we see a situation and we have a instant reaction, we can just stop ourselves for a second and think, would my best self, would my highest self react in the way that I'm planning to react? And if the answer is no, then assume that personality for a moment, because it'll take some time for you to get there, right? So assume your higher self's position and then respond from there.